And there we are. We're live.
And there we are. Happy New Year.
Live from wherever the fuck we are. It's Friday night.
Live from the same place in 2021 that we were in 2020.
Yeah. It's home. Deja vu, but hey.
Yeah, nothing's changed. You know what changed is everybody's attitude, and that's the important thing. Everybody's attitude has changed. Everybody's excited. So what'd you do for New Year's?
I fucking slept. I went to sleep at 5 o'clock, passed out at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, woke up at 11:30, 12, watched some of Posty's thing. Posty did a cool, and it's funny, I got a text from Rich, from Posty's dad, like, are you watching this? I'm like, fuck, I forgot. So
what was it? I didn't know. What was he
Posty did a Bud Seltzer New Year's Eve show for Budweiser. And nice. He played with Chad Smith and Slash and Chris Chaney from Jane's Addiction, and he did War Pigs and Alice in Chains, and then some of his stuff. Pretty cool.
Nice, yeah, very cool. So that was on TV, or that was just a web?
No, it was just a web thing. Just a web thing.
Nice,
nice. But yeah, you can go find it on YouTube. You can watch Posty play War Pigs with Slash.
I'll do that. I saw Slash's
pretty dope.
Those little miniature guitars that he's been. I don't know if he's signing them, selling them, or what he's doing, but yeah. Wow. So I know I just watched the tail end. I went out to go see the new Tom Hanks movie, News of the World, which I find kind of cool since we did a Sheer Heart Attack off the Queen album, News of the World.
We did.
And yeah, it was good. It was a good movie. Went out with some friends, then came home, and me and Roman celebrated. What was it? The Pentatonics. We watched, what is it? I guess it used to be, is it, who's the guy that hosts The Voice? Carson Daly, right? So that, whatever that was, that used to be, was that the thing that used to be Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve, I guess, years back? But
probably.
So anyway.
I think so. I think it transitioned over to whoever the young guy is.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of cool. The Pentatonics closed it out, which I thought was very cool. Those 5 a cappella singers, that was cool. And then right after it was awesome because they Headspace, which is a very cool meditation app. They had an awesome ad for that on Netflix. Now you can actually get these meditation apps or do this meditation stuff, which I thought was very cool. I mean, boy, talk about a very different way to ring in 2021. Right. And of course, here with a change of guard of our president and everything else, it just felt like a much different, optimistic transition. You know what I mean? So I thought it was kind of cool. So,
well, good. Yeah, man, I haven't been doing much. I've been just kind of doing some work, working on writing the record and trying to get that done. Gonna go in the studio and finish that. I've been binge watching a lot of shit, man. A lot of cool. You know what I watched? Have you watched The Righteous Gemstones?
Dude, awesome. I love The Righteous Gemstones. And Danny McBride, he's got another one called Vice Principals. My kids turned me onto this stuff. Vice Principals is awesome. And then the other guy who plays the douchey principal, he's got another show called right now called not Zodiac, something Capricorn or something like that. It's dude, what a great bunch of writers, and just Danny McBride's just friggin' brilliant, man. That guy is genius.
And I think he writes all that stuff too. I think he does. I think he was one of the writers. Have you seen This Is the End? I was thinking you've seen that, right? With the movie with him and all the Judd Apatow guys, Seth Rogen, and
I have not seen that one.
Oh my God, watch it! It's basically like they're all in LA playing themselves. It's like they're all playing themselves as actors and like the end of the world. Basically, it's fucking hysterical.
Hey, so obviously, look, Cobra Kai, the most watched show on all of Netflix history tonight. So no spoiler alerts, because I actually am going to go watch it after this. I'm going to go watch.
It's so good, so great. I watched it. I started watching it. I saw it like 3 o'clock this morning. Dude, I tell you, man, people slept on that show. It's so funny. Like, I watched it. Like, I bought it. I still have a YouTube Red subscription that I pay for every month because I forget to cancel it. That I bought to watch Cobra Kai the first season when it was on YouTube, man. And I'm a huge Karate Kid fan. You know, and I love that show. And the new season.
We just watched it yesterday. Me and Roman actually wanted to watch Karate Kid yesterday. So we did. We watched it just to kind of, again, as you always say, the origin story. Right? Yeah. So
hopefully you didn't watch the Karate Kid 3.
No, we watched the first one. Yeah, really get the origin story. Someone just said in here that they actually pause. Adriana should pause. Or Adrian paused Cobra Kai to check in here. So hey, you know what else I did yesterday? I bought a ticket for Kiss live in Dubai show yesterday.
That's awesome.
Rad. Oh man, I'm glad I spent the money. Yeah, it was, and I didn't get the whole show, unfortunately. In fact, I think I had 24 hours to watch it, and I've missed it. But I'm glad I did, man. It was, look, Kiss is my favorite band in the world, and it was just great to watch them do what they do. And, you know, of course,
you emailed me Beth. I couldn't get it to open, though.
Yeah, well, it was Eric Singer singing Beth, which is what they do on the encore. I just figured you'd appreciate it since you're a Beth aficionado.
I am, apparently.
This is now the third drummer singing Beth. Kiss. So
I might actually be the first singer to sing Beth.
Really?
Like, I'm not a drummer.
Yeah, you might be. Yeah. Yeah, because we wouldn't consider drummers singers.
That's right.
They're drummers who also sing, right? So, but yeah, it was, the Kiss show was awesome. I mean, you know, dude, look, let's face it. They're still the biggest band in the world, at least perception, bombast. Obviously, there's, you know, they've got a lot of competition of, you know, Garth Brooks and Metallica and the Rolling Stones and everything else, obviously. But if it comes to box office sales and all that, but I mean, just as far as, come on, you know, inventing the game, there is none better, you know, than Kiss. And they still got it, man. It was great to see. It was cool to see them just blowing shit up. And
that's awesome. So speaking of like the hottest fucking TV show entity, I didn't know what to call them anymore, because are they TV shows if they're not technically on television networks? But the Mandalorian, man, everybody's, you know, so it's so funny. So a friend of ours who's actually going to come on the show tonight, Neil A. Lim Sang, he's a photographer. And you know, it's so funny, I didn't even know he did this. Like I knew he did something kind of in effects, and I knew him more as a photographer. He's a rock photographer, shoots a lot of stuff for bands. He was on the Mega Cruise. He's always on, like, the Monsters of Rock, and you know. So you know, we started talking, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, I worked on the Mandalorian." I'm like, "What?" And then he told me all this stuff he did, and he showed me his reel, and he worked on like Transformers, and he worked at Lucasfilm at ILM, and he worked on some of the Star Wars prequels, and he worked on
Lucasfilm right here.
That's right.
Good thing I wore the T-shirt.
Right, and that was probably an accident. You didn't even.
It was completely an accident. I didn't plan on it at all. It was just the top.
It was up in the rotation.
Yeah, it was up in the rotation of clean black T-shirts. So that was the one I put on. Yep, exactly.
So, but I finally worked on Iron Man and the Hulk, and just like literal who's who, like greatest hits of nerd pop culture stuff, and so impressive and so cool. And he's going to join us in a minute here, and I'm so stoked to talk about the Mandalorian. I mean, that is literally like the hottest property in the world right now is the Mandalorian, man. So like for me, that, you know, I love music and music's my thing, but I've always noticed my friends that are actors and work in movies, like, and they're big music fans. Like, we always feed off that energy. Like, they kind of fanboy off of the music stuff, and I totally fanboy off of the movie stuff. And my friends who work in like comic books and other worlds that I'm really in. So it's always a fun little back and forth with people that work in those two worlds, you know?
And kind of a dystopian look about the whole thing too, right?
Absolutely. Very dystopia. Dystopia!
Which is very cool. So, so you said, we were talking a little bit earlier. Sounds like Paul Stanley now. So I was talking to you before the show.
Hey, he looked me up and he looked me down.
And we were talking about kind of the plan. Of course, No Cover, you know, came out in November. Thank you, everybody who supported it. It's great to see all the comments. First of all, Happy New Year to everybody checking in from all around the world here, which is super cool. We got Poland, Australia, South America. But it looks like we got a little bit of a little more action on that moving into the new year. You were talking about that. I was
Yeah.
just talking to Melody. We're working on getting Roast in Peace into Amazon. We're hopefully that is almost done.
It seems like a never-ending process, man. Like getting stuff
is.
into Amazon, getting food products into Amazon is no
It's a
joke. I
nightmare.
mean, it's
It's a
no
nightmare.
joke. It's a fucking nightmare. So
Well, it's funny. We talked to our roaster over in the UK, Coburg Coffee, about it, and she said, "Don't waste your time. You're better off being on Facebook and Instagram."
yeah.
It used to be a big thing. Now it's not so much anymore. So we're going to try it. We're going to try to at least just put Roast in Peace ground, one SKU, get it in there because that's, certainly our flagship one. Of course, I got to tell you, man, the new Combat, Napalm in the Morning, dude, is selling like hotcakes, man. That was a good one. Good call on that one, man. So
Thank you. Well, we're gonna launch some other new amazing roasts in the new year that are gonna blow people's fucking minds, man. I can't wait to talk about it. And again, there's really gonna be some mind-blowing ECC stuff coming and no cover. We're kind of coming out of no cover. We're gonna start releasing shit from the upcoming Ellefson record in probably February. We'll start pushing out singles, and I can't wait for people to hear that. No cover's awesome, but I want them to hear the songs we've written and what we've done. Like, to me, that's what I'm excited about because these songs are so fucking great. You know what I mean? Not to toot our horn, but
they're pretty damn good. And it's fun because me and Andy have been going back and forth, Martin Shelley, on WhatsApp, just going over some stuff. He sent some things over. We got one really cool been working on. So just kind of, sharing ideas, riffs and stuff on it. So, and it looks like you're going to be going in and singing here shortly.
I think next week.
Yeah, which is awesome, man. So,
and pretty much done. We got like 3 songs left to work on, and then it's pretty much done, Yeah,
it is. It's very cool. Thank you for everybody for supporting. I saw a couple comments on the book. As you now know, it is a fictional autobiography. So, and it's funny the things you can write in fiction that you wouldn't dare put in if you wrote it yourself because you'd get sued or probably shot for putting it in there or, piss a lot of people off. So it's kind of fun to take the fictional approach and go down some new avenues with that. So, so anyway, a lot of good stuff going on. And, we just kind of intentionally, Tom and I were talking back in November, just kind of like by mid-December, we wanted to just shut down. That's why the last couple of weeks we just kind of I tried to just stop doing press, just shut down, go quiet, which lasted 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Now here we are. I know you hit me yesterday, said, "Hey, should we do one?" It would have been good to do one last night because probably a lot of people sitting at home. But we figured today, a lot of people probably had living room parties and they're hungover, shaking it off. So we figured we'd fire up a little chat today.
Yeah, we usually do something. It's funny. It used to be you. I'd make you every year on New Year's Day do like a State of the Union address where we'd kind of talk about everything we had coming out, everything that was new, and then now it's both of us, since we kind of do it together. So it's fun.
The thing is, we had such a busy year. A lot of people were bitching and complaining about 2020 for all the obvious reasons. But I gotta say, man, I cannot get on that bandwagon. And I just consider, you and I are very blessed because we, really, it started in March when things were shutting down. You pinged me in the grocery store that day and said, "Dude, open up your Skype, start giving some bass lessons. Schools are closing, COVID's here." And that led to the David Ellefson Youth Music Foundation. Then that led to us just forging ahead with putting out Simple Truth and Over Now. And I went.
And then eventually No Cover.
No Cover, exactly. I got the Megadeth album in that time. And then, we pretty much spent June through today working on No Cover. And so it's I think it's one of those things where it's funny, the last 2 weeks really kind of shutting down. I have a hard time just not doing anything because my brain's always working. In fact, this last week, I just started coming down from upstairs, have my coffee, and just pick up a bass and just start playing, not really playing anything in particular, but just playing, you know what I mean? Just kind of getting the bass back in my hands. It's funny when I always say this, when you start playing music for a living, sometimes, especially in a sort of, professional band setting, so much of your life is not playing music. you know, that sometimes you have to intentionally make the time to keep working on your craft, you know. So and I feel like I'm there. I feel like I'm back in the fold now, you know, with especially with Andy writing, and now knowing you're going to be going back in singing. You know, so I feel like we're kind of getting the machine,
you know,
up again.
I know it's funny. I mean, it's weird. I mean, I fucking died and I still can't complain about 2020. I mean, that says something, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I still can't bitch about it. I'm like, yeah, you know, we were productive and we did some really good shit. I mean, you know, but I'm excited about, you know, and getting to make no cover with everybody. We did it with Al Jorgensen and Benante and Lombardo and some of the, you know, getting to, you know, make such a great record with such great guys. And then now getting to do this new record in 2021 that I think is really going to just set the bar. You know what I mean? I'm, you know.
Hey man, if dying doesn't kill you, nothing can.
Exactly. I mean, hey, 2020 tried and failed, motherfucker. Yeah. Let's see what 2021's got.
Killed by death, not.
So Neil's here, man. I'm going to bring Neil in. Let's talk about let's nerd out.
Do it.
There he is.
Hey, Dave.
Gentlemen.
Hey, Thom. How are you?
Good, brother. How are you?
It's been a bit. Happy New Year, guys. How are you?
How are you? Happy New Year to you, too. I know normally we'd be seeing you like at NAMM or something, right?
Yeah, at NAMM or in a photo pit, or I was hoping to do Tour of the Year this summer with you guys.
You and me both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, reality.
Well, look, hopefully it'll happen. You know what I mean? It's scheduled to start in July, and
okay.
You know, yeah, so hopefully it'll happen, you know.
I know it's such a great lineup too. So I'm really hoping to come out, hang with some friends, and do some great shows. So
well, look, you know, I was saying to Dave too, it's like I wonder if like Live Nation's going to make us performers get the vaccine. Not that I'm opposed to the vaccine, you know, so far I've been healthy, but you know, again, I think at some point everybody's going to have it. You're not going to be able to fly without it. You won't be able to do anything without it. And I think Live Nation and a lot of these shows, it's like, unless you've been vaccinated, they may not even let you play, you know? So not to mention you won't be able to go to the show. You won't be able to do all this stuff. So, you know, not that that's a bad thing.
No, I think it'll be an interesting thing. I personally, you know, just like Thom and I have talked before, just like, we're kind of a bit immune compromised, so I'm not too scared about getting it. Rather, I'm not afraid of dying, but I'd rather put it off for a few years.
And we were both talking about we both think we had it on the fucking mega cruise. And you know, David, I've been saying that for like a year. Yeah. And me and Neil were on the phone last week, and he said that before I even said anything. I said, dude, he said that. I'm like, I swear to God, me and Melody both got it on the mega cruise like last year because we were both. So
well, dude, you came home and then you put John Aquilino in the hospital.
I know.
Got it. I know.
Yeah,
it was
crazy.
You didn't get sick after that, Dave?
I did not. Normally, you know, it's funny. I go to NAMM. I always get sick. So this year, being a virtual NAMM, which I don't even know that I'm going to have to go to, I'll go. Obviously, if Jackson Guitars or somebody wants me to make an appearance on, it would be just like this. It'd be like a Zoom call. If they want me to do it, I will. But this will be the first year I'll go to NAMM and not get NAMthrax and not get sick.
That's amazing. Because I've never gotten it there.
You have to think about it. You know, all these freaking flus that come over from China and from Asia and shit. You know, the NAMM is a breeding ground because the Hall E downstairs is all the people from Asia. You know, so it's, and I know people that were over there and had just come from Korea and you know last year, and you know were sick as a dog, came to NAMM, and so I mean, again, this COVID thing's been flying around the world for a while, and obviously we don't want to rehash that. Hopefully, we're on the other side of it now. But look, NAMM. I mean, you know, it's funny now that you wear a mask and you like, you know, lather up your hands, you do all this stuff. I mean, you think about. I mean, it's funny because in Asia they wear masks all the time anyway, right? And now you know why? Because there's so many people, and if they're sick, they wear a mask out of consideration. So it's funny how the Western world now is starting to kind of get hip to, like, you think about how much crap we haven't been spreading because we're wearing masks. I mean, between strep throat, the common, you know, cold, all this other stuff. So maybe having mask mandates in certain public settings isn't so bad after all. Well,
it's interesting when you think about, like, if I walked into a bank with a mask and my hoodie before, it'd be a little bit of a problem. Yeah. But now it's just
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like the mask. I feel gangster as fucking the mask. I'm probably gonna keep wearing them even when this shit's over. Like, why not?
Well, it'll be a little while before.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the mask.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of people talking, and I just got to address this because you know what? Hey, we talk about intelligent, common sense things on this show, and we always have, especially through this thing. And there's a bunch of people in the chat talking about the vaccine and how not to get it and how it was rushed. And to me, that no offense to anybody, that just seems like such a lazy point of view. I mean, again, there's some people that are just anti-vaccinations no matter what. But you know what? It's like, no, the vaccine was rushed because it had to be. The thing is, with a normal vaccine, they take a long time and they have a smaller number of people working on it. This, they had every doctor and scientist in the world working on the same fucking thing at the same time. That's how it got done fast. You know what I mean? Yeah, they had to cut down, maybe some of the trials from 10 weeks to 8 weeks. You know what I mean? It's like they took all of the same precautions. Like, they're not stupid. You know what I mean? Like, these vaccines were developed by every developed country in the world working together, their best doctors, their best scientists, their best virologists. They all shared data and they all worked together to develop this crucial vaccine to basically save the world. You know what I mean? And just people, again, every great mind in this field spent the last 9-10 months, whatever it was, working on this thing so we could have it. You know what I mean? That's
the reality of it is the world is not going to open up until this goes away. And clearly, look, again, I hate to even rehash this because this seems like last year's news. You know what I mean? Yeah. But the truth of it is, look, I know my daughter's probably going to get it. She's in the nursing field now, so she's kind of one of the frontline workers. And there's going to be certain people that are just going to have to do it. I mean, the reality of it is we aren't just going to lock down and just until it just disappears. We're just not. It's not how it's going to be. So the only other option is get the vaccine. I mean, that is really the reality of it, and it is just what it is. And so whatever, look, we want the world to open up because, and I think so does everybody here because we all want to be out rocking. It was fun to watch Kiss in Dubai on the internet, but I'd rather go see them play here in town.
Exactly.
That'd be more fun than watching it on my laptop, So I'm a fan too. I want to go see shows. I want to see my buddies playing and I go out and I support the cause. I buy a t-shirt. I'll even buy tickets once in a while, I don't mind, for my friends, so anyway, that's it for me. So
see, in this kind of shit, I'm so sick of hearing this dumb Bill Gates bullshit. Like, shut up, Bill Gates. You all carry a tracking device in your fucking pocket everywhere you go. It's right here, and you don't move without it. No one's tracking you. If they are, it's through this. No one gives a fuck. Bill Gates doesn't give a fuck about you. Bill Gates doesn't care about you and your ignorant opinions and what they are. Bill Gates is a billionaire and a philanthropist and has spent so much of his money to eradicate problems in the fucking world and deserves so much admiration and fucking respect. And the way people just all of this conspiracy nonsense and bullshit, people just need to learn to shut up. Fuck. Yeah. Sorry. Let's talk about Star Wars now.
Hey, we started it with Hangar 18, so I'm probably.
I know, right?
Sorry. Well, just one thing though, Tom. It's like, as funny as it is, especially everyone here in the States, you can think about whatever conspiracy you want, but it's not the 1% that are actually talking about it. It's the 0%, like all of us that are not even on the radar and following the conspiracies or whatever you want. You can believe whatever you want, but the reality is we're never going to really know what's going on. They're not going to tell us.
I have an uncle back in Jackson, Minnesota who died.
But what's going on now? What's going on now? What's going on now is exactly why the government hides shit from us, because the average person is not equipped to deal with and process the reality of what really fucking happens, you know, because you give them a nugget of truth and they take it and spin it off into this crazy Q conspiracy. You know what I mean? It's like, that's why security clearances were invented. You know, I don't need to know everything in the world that goes on, and I don't need to go out and struggle to make up and piece together imaginary dots to make myself feel like I know what's going on. You know what I mean? It's like, enough.
Yeah. Sorry to hear about your uncle, Dave.
Yeah, I'm sorry too.
And another friend of mine here from Scottsdale, a buddy, just called me this afternoon. He's my friend who was hanging out with last night, and he just said, "Hey, a friend of ours died," and I was like, "Whoa!" So I mean, you know, that's the thing. It's like, you know, a year ago, we heard of somebody who died, and we didn't know them. Mm-hmm. Then it kind of started to come in closer. Then we heard of somebody who knew somebody who had somebody who died. Then we knew of a family or friend who had someone who died. Now, our own family and inner circle of people are, you know, and look, obviously, look, I know of dozens of people who have had it and gone through it and have gotten through it. Everything from, I felt a little tired to, I couldn't smell one day. And I guess that was COVID. You know, it's been as minor as that. So, you know, again, it's just one of these weird times. I mean, it is still weird, isn't it? A year later, we're still here. I mean, so that's why, again, to me, you know, changing of the guard, new mandates, you know, stepping, like, thank God that happened to at least have a chance to try to deal with it differently, because the way it was dealt with, you know, again, we were on the mega cruise, and now we know that we know the thing was out there, right? And none of us knew, no one told us. So we're on a cruise ship, which is a cruise, and I think the mega cruise, I'd like to think was safe. But we're just saying that, you know, people traveling, moving around the world, you know, an illness can fly around the world literally within about 24 hours just because of air travel. I mean, back in the whatever it was, 1905, that pandemic, they didn't have airplanes moving it around the planet, you know, so you could kind of localize it a little bit. But look, it is what it is. I mean, I'm already seeing COVID videos, bands putting out COVID songs. So
cool. Yeah.
But
and it's the same thing. Like, I wear a mask for myself to protect me, and maybe someone else. I'll take the vaccine to protect me. If you don't want to take it, that's fine. But I know I'm covered, so I'll be good.
So a couple weeks ago, I had no clue, man. A couple weeks ago, I found you just casually tell me that you worked on The Mandalorian. And I'm like, what? and then I, you know, I kind of knew you did something important somewhere, and I didn't really know. And then I found out you're like this visual effects guru, and you worked on The Mandalorian and some of the Star Wars movies, and worked at ILM and Lucasfilm. And I mean, come on, man, tell us about that.
And I wore the shirt just by accident.
I know, it's so funny to see that. That's amazing.
Fran Strine took me up to, you know, we did the Hired Gun movie together, and he and I have been friends. And he took me up to Lucas to the studio up there, right by the by the Golden Gate Bridge. It's freaking rad, man. So yeah,
that's amazing. Because I was wondering about that. Fran and I go way back too. So it's just like I have photos in Hired Gun, and so I think that's the thing, is like most people actually, when they see me, I'm always working at a gig. So everyone knows me as a photographer. Yeah. And then when we're talking or we're, you know, just meeting up, we're talking about life and just catching up in general. So we're really not talking about, like, I'm really no one that. So, but like, we're friends with a lot of friends and we know each other for a long time. So we're talking about life and catching up. So I really don't talk about what I do. So most of my friends have no clue I've been doing computer animation for 27 years now. And so when it really started out a long time ago, I was working at Lucasfilm, or ILM, in 1996. So yeah, like, we're all a lot older, but yeah, I was 20.
So you basically, you're like us. We play music for free and for fun, and you take rock concert photos for free and for fun because you actually have a day job that pays you real money.
You know, it's just like, I do like getting paid for the photos, but everyone thinking that I make a living from that, I'm not going to lie, but it's like, it does pay, but it's not a living.
Yeah, but let me ask you. Let me ask you that. How do you make a living? Because again, we had Mark Weiss on here, and of course,
Right.
we know Ross Halfin, and the big guys who, I remember years ago, we would get tour manager come to us, say, hey, Circus Magazine has sent out Niels Lozauer to do a shoot tonight. He'll be in the pit, and a lot of local news outlets would come, and they would be in the pit taking photos. Now, like I've got friends like Kaylee Nelson and, we've
Savoya.
got Mike Savoya, there's all these great photographers, and they come out, and like I see Kaylee, and she's so sweet and she does such great work, and I try to use her stuff whenever I can. But, after the show, it's like almost sometimes she'll just dump it all out on Facebook. Like, it's almost like, well, I'm not going to get paid for it. I may as well let people see it, like, how do you get paid these days for this stuff?
It's very, very different these days. It's also very hard to also get paid. But for me, a lot of times it's like sometimes by the band directly, but I do a lot of stuff for endorsement companies. Like, when you need an endorsement photo for Jackson, or someone needs a photo for Tama or something like that. A lot of the artists, that's the difference, is you know a few photographers, but you don't know every photographer. And so a lot of the artists will hit me up and say, hey, do you have a photo that we can use for Pearl or for Jackson or for something like that? And then I'll work with the endorsement company that way, or I'll get paid by a magazine or something like that. But it is,
so it's kind of the same. You get contracted, but it's not nearly what it used to be.
No, it's like, like the Niels Lozauers or the, Glenn LaFermans, or, it's like guys that, like, maybe those guys like Mark Weiss, Ross Halfin, like those are the guys that really.
Hey, I buy my own photos. Like, I'll see somebody post something like when we started with the Megadeth 5 Finger tour in Helsinki. A woman took some fantastic photos, and I hit her. I said, "Hey, what's your usage rights?" And I bought some from her. And I made some pick cards. Yeah, I mean, I'll pay. I mean, look, I don't expect people to do it for free. And if they have great photos, and I can, we can use them for different things. It's like I'll personally buy them, and I'll be the record label, and say, here, I'll PayPal you some money. Like, your work's great. You deserve to be compensated. It took you time to take them, and parking and gas and everything else it took you to get
to
the
gear
show. So yeah, of course. My God, thousands
gear, equipment,
experience, thousands of dollars, and experience. Exactly. That's what Phil X, I think, in Hired Gun, he said that. He said, when you hire me, you're not just paying me for, an hour to come in and cut the track. And of course, Phil X plays guitar with Bon Jovi, as well as other things. And he said, you're paying for the last 30 years of me practicing and all the gear I bought and everything, and the guitar in my hand. And, and I thought it was very well said, that's what you're paying for. It isn't just come in and play some notes for an hour, And same for you as a photographer.
Totally what it is. And a lot of people don't realize that, we do a show, we'll shoot something, we'll be on, I've done a lot of tours and everything like that. And, it's like, it's the amount of time to actually edit afterwards, actually pick the right photos, put things out. But it's been great because I've gained a lot of trust with a lot of friends and a lot of different artists that, I'm not going to put out a terrible photo. I'm not going to Beyonce you from stage and put out the worst photo ever, because it's a bad reflection on my craft and you as well. And that's why a lot of artists have contracts and certain things, because there's so many photographers out there right now. So it's really different. But fortunately, like you were saying, how do I make a living? I have a day job. So
it's funny. Sometimes when we're on stage and we see iPhones down in the pit, we're like, who the hell is that? It's not even a professional. The problem is you can take his photo that's damn near as good as anything on an iPhone now, And of course, now Megadeth has done an iPhone commercial shot on an iPhone. It's like, how do we, hey, no Samsungs. You get iPhone, you come in, So but it's true. I mean, it's like, I'm an idiot. I've got a nice iPhone, and I'm like a Kodak frickin', 110 Instamatic point and shoot. I always say, you're a photographer. I'm just a guy who takes a picture, big difference,
I take photos with my cell phone too. It just depends. I'm not carrying all my gear with me all the time. So it's become the norm because it's what we have available to us at all times. But there's no way, like, I mean, I don't mean to insult cell phone photographers, but you're not a photographer. You have no idea what is actually happening when you press that button. You have no idea of exposure, f-stop, everything like that. And but it's interesting because there are some amazing photos that I've been seeing. So, but like I said, I'm fortunate enough that I can still do what I love, a tour, I do what I need to. And I will make some money, but I have a backup plan, which is what I don't talk to people about, which is doing digital art and computer animation for many, many years. And so, when Thom and I started talking about Mandalorian, I signed a lot of NDAs, much like contracts and everything else. It's like, there's no reason and there's no way I can talk about anything I'm doing. So I did casually drop it at the end of the season because it was over. And the biggest stuff that I worked on was in the last 5 episodes of The Mandalorian. And so it's like, there's no point in, I don't want to spoil Cobra Kai for you. I would never spoil Mandalorian, and I would never tell anyone anything because I can't survive a Disney lawyer or the group of lawyers.
Oh God! Well, look, even when people go on like Jimmy Fallon or something to do an interview on the couch, look, they can only say so much. You're preempted. I mean, people probably sometimes don't think about that. Even when we go into interviews, we're pretty careful about. Like people for a year have been asking me, so what does the new Megadeth record sound like? And honestly, I can't tell you because it's not done yet. So number one, it's factual and truthful that I'm saying that. But even as you're setting up a record, Megadeth or otherwise, you strategically only, I was saying, you talk about what you did, not what you're going to do, and you don't, and nothing's worse than hype. And especially in rock and roll and heavy metal, hype is the worst because people hate hype, So let the music do the talking, as our friend Joe Perry said. But it's at the same time, you kind of strategically, you don't want to give spoiler alerts. You want people to be excited. But you do only go so far, and part of that is a press and media strategy.
Right. And what I was saying with Thom earlier is that, like, the thing about what I do with digital art and animation, I never know what I'm actually working on or where it comes into play. So I'm given a specific shot and a character to animate, and I'm animating that, but I have no context of the story. I have no idea where it's going to fall into things. So when we watch the show, like when you're watching it, I'm also watching it for the first time because I don't know the storyline. I don't get scripts. I don't get to meet the actors. I don't know anything. I work on a segment with a large team of artists. So it's also not just me by myself. Like, whereas you will write the baseline, I'll do the animation for one thing, but there's a whole team of people that work on stuff. So it's a huge effort from everyone.
Yeah, but to that end, like we wrote Go to Hell for the Bill and Ted movie, right? And we had no idea where it was going to be in the movie. Right. And same with like, Last Action Hero, we wrote Angry Again, and then all of a sudden, I don't know, some motorcycles chase. There's a little bit of it playing in the background. Right. You're like, that's it? Like that, we went through all that. And of course, it's on a soundtrack that Sony put out, so that's great. But it's like it's just a little background music for like a moment, and
totally
in a movie. So I know it's same thing. I mean, even when you're doing the music, like that, you really don't have any idea, and they can change. Like, as the time things go to editing and to final. I mean, a lot of things change. What I've really gained respect for is the editing of movies. Because you're editing. Because it isn't just the actor. Like, last night I saw the Tom Hanks film, and he's great, obviously, but he's kind of like the musician. Go in, read your lines, shoot your scenes. That's it. Probably a bunch of extra stuff, a few different extra shots. We got some options on the edits, but then the way that it's finally edited, with the music underneath.
Hello.
Is that Dave or is that me?
I think Dave froze. Oops.
Oh, no. I was just like, whoa, is it my internet or is it David's internet?
We can all hear each other, but we froze. Yay, we're back.
Yay.
There he is.
Yeah.
No, I get that too, as well as the editing. Everything is edited differently. As far as like, when you're in the studio, it's a very kind of symbiotic thing of what we're doing as far as creating art. Because you're like, when was the last time that you were in the studio, you knew the song, you wrote the song, but then you nailed it on the first take? You're always going to do a couple takes of things.
Of course.
And so that's what we do when we're doing most of the visual effects for movies and in general. So we work with what's called like a head and a tail. And so sometimes it's about like what we call like 8 frames head, 8 frames tail. So that means we animate an extra 16 frames on the front, total for the shot. So I might have a shot, like I did a shot for these butterflies in the Mandalorian flying around Baby Yoda, Grogu. And so we have 8 frames in the head, 8 frames in the tail. And that's so that the editor, if he has to slip the cut, then he has material, So it's like, we normally don't do a lot more than that, but it gives them the room to add or subtract if they need to lengthen or shorten a take. And we're also...
Here's an interesting thing. So like last night, I'm watching this movie and there's a nice kind of, pan from up above, and I'm going, okay, so are those real cows or are those digital cows? Right.
There you go.
Because so much of this stuff is animated. You can, that was one thing I saw when we go to Lucasfilm. You walk in and you sit down in the movie theater and they sort of show you this trailer, kind of like their greatest hits. And all these, like I remember there was like a monster coming into an airport and destroying the airplanes and destroying the entire friggin' airport, and how they animated that and how they used that technology, which of course is probably something you might be involved in, like creating this whole scene, and how much of that can digitally now, which I thought was just fascinating, man, that you guys draw and scale and animate all that stuff.
Hey, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's always an interesting thing. Like, there's certain, like, you're watching a movie like Avengers Endgame or Jurassic Park. The dinosaurs are not real or the characters aren't. But if you watch some movies and you watch the end credits, you'll see that there's so much that's done digitally now that you can't tell. And if you can't tell, then the job has been done well. And so there's simple things such as like sky replacements or building replacements, or or crowds, or things that have to blend in because you might not be able to shut down Manhattan for an afternoon, but you can shut down a block, and then you can extend that block out and put in digital people in the background that are not the main characters. So there's
how about the Queen movie at Wembley Stadium, right?
Of course, exactly.
Come on, there's 100,000 people there. It looked like it was freaking Live Aid, but it was digital, and it wasn't. Yeah.
And there's so many things that are done now that it's really hard to see an actual, like, even independent movies, smaller budgets that don't have these multi-million-dollar budgets that are really, they have a small budget for effects. Or, the simple thing is, like, we've done things like, I do it with my photography sometimes, and it's cool actually having the skill set to be able to do that. I've taken end of tour photos, and, it's kind of hard to get everyone staring at you and not blinking. So, have had to digitally
I have one right. Where is it? The big 4. That shot right there. You know what I mean? Just trying to get 16 or 24 knuckleheads like us, or however many of us there were on stage, and
hey, we got somebody else who's going to join us in a second. Real quick, I got a little clip of something Neil worked on that I'm going to show everybody.
Perfect.
So cool. Then I'll show it to you. We can talk about it for a second. We'll bring in our other guests to join us and nerd out with us. So here we go.
Awesome.
Just a regular day in Sherman Oaks there.
Your boy Vin Diesel.
Is the sound on, Tom? Or
you know what? It's not. I'm dumb. Hang on. Let me do it again.
It looks so cool. You don't even need the sound. It's just
I know, right?
Yeah, it really does. The sound really does add a lot to it.
Okay.
Yeah,
that was a cinematic
Mulligan.
It's time to go.
Is that Baby Yoda in the bag? How cool is that?
Dude, we should just sit on here and watch like movies.
I know, right?
That's so fun.
Binge watch on StreamYard.
Right.
So tell us the story behind that.
So that was a project I worked on right after The Mandalorian. And what's interesting about these times now, it's just like, while we can't get live shows and everything else, I've had to move around the world doing different work, doing CG, because a lot of the time, the studios and the NDAs and everything else, it's all private. So you can't actually show people things, or you can't actually bring people into the studio and show them what's going on. So this was a unique time because I was able to work from home. I was the animation supervisor on that project, and that is for an upcoming video game called Arc 2 by Studio Wildcard. And it's coming out in, I'm not sure when, but
I think like 2022 or something, not for a long time.
Yeah, it was a teaser trailer to actually put the product out there to get people excited about it. And realistically, when you watch it, it's 4.5 minutes of animation.
Yeah.
And everything in that whole, everything that you're seeing, it's all digital. And so I had to supervise a really talented team of people that really put everything together and just plan the project. And so it was a lot of work, but it's a lot of times when you see things, you don't realize how much time it takes. Like when you hear a song that you've recorded in the studio, it could have taken you a couple days, and people just listen to it in 3 minutes. That's the same kind of thing. You're looking at something that is 4.5 minutes long, and it took a couple months for most people to work on. So
I was just going to ask you how long it took to put that together. That's probably
well, that one was a faster and more condensed schedule, which isn't normal. But a lot of times before, I've worked on shots like I worked on a shot in Transformers one time. It took me 3.5 months, 6 days a week, 10 to 12 hours a day for 70 hours a week, and it lasted 4.5 seconds on the screen. So it's the kind of thing where it's
like shooting a music video.
Oh yeah, insane, right?
Look who's here. It's Mr. Phil Dow.
What's up,
Phil?
What's
You're looking all suave. Happy New Year, dude. How are you? Are you muted? We can't hear you.
He is muted. He had himself muted. You got yourself muted.
What's happening, guys?
He's doing like a Bruce Lee movie. Yeah.
How's it going?
Hey, buddy. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to all of you guys, even the Canadian up there.
You were texting me. I was out hiking earlier today. I was right up back. It's one of the nice things. It's funny. He's talking to people. Thom being one of them. It's like 10 below back in Green Bay, so he can't do anything. And back on the East Coast, they're locked down. I talked to Jimmy DeGrasso yesterday, and he said the Northern California is really bad shape with like COVID, and so it's kind of nasty.
He's just south of me in the mountains down there. Yeah.
How are you doing up there? How's everything? You
being a musician and a bar owner, it strikes 1 and 2. So
is your bar open?
No, they shut us down beginning of December. Bay Area is they did a preemptive shutdown of the shutdown. So we were open September, October, and the beginning of September, October, November. So we had 3 months of being open, shut down for 6 months. Just like all of everybody struggling, the musicians in that sense. And for me, I mean, the bar is my wife and I own it, and that's our lifeblood. That's the one that makes the machine run, and then all the music is just kind of secondary.
So now you can't drink or play guitar.
Oh, I can drink, but but I actually for the first 6 months we were shut down, it happened right at St. Patrick's Day, which is, we live in Dublin, California, so St. Patty's Day is our biggest day of the year.
Yeah, of course. What's the name of your bar, by the way, so the fans that are checking in here, if they get up there?
It's in Dublin, California. It's called the Back Lounge. So as a musician, you can get the reference for the Back Lounge. It's my wife named it after the back lounge of the bus, and we've got a whole thing about it stays. It's like Fight Club. You don't talk about what happens in the back lounge.
That's right. It's funny. I remember in the back lounge in 1990, Nick Menza. That was where he turned me on to Sepultura. Oh, he was always in the back lounge, like shredding fucking, new songs. He goes, dude, check this out. This shit's Burlos, bro. And like, he's like ripping through Chaos AD. And so
when they first came out, we're like, how do you pronounce it? I think it's Sepultura. So everybody,
right.
accent on the wrong syllable.
That was one of the biggest debates of the late 80s was how to pronounce Sepultura.
Yeah. When we first got the Black album, when it came out, and we heard "Sad but True," but it sounded like you said Sepultura. What's he saying there? We don't know. But we're close.
But the song was called "Sad but True," so you probably had a clue.
We didn't, because we had like the pre-release. We didn't know.
Oh, okay. So you had like you guys are privy to some like fancy San Francisco shit. I lived in Green Bay. I didn't.
Everybody had Rain and Blood before it came out, so everybody knew all the songs when it got released. So this was one of those. It's a Bay Area thing for sure.
Yeah.
Thom, it's good to see you healthy,
see you,
and, on, sitting on your ass, but on 2 feet, and you feeling better?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm just, it's one of those things. It's a process, kind of just them figuring out the medications and how to keep me fucking alive. And, there's been a couple of hairy, scary fucking moments here and there, but so far so good, man. Been getting that, getting acclimated and, just trying to take care of myself, Good,
Who knew Queen would write your soundtrack, Sheer Heart Attack, and Keep Yourself Alive?
Right. They know
let me entertain you. 3 songs right there. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It was so funny when I was in the hospital when it happened. Literally, the first text, I was basically like unconscious for like a fucking week, right? So the first text I sent was to Bumblefoot, and I texted him and I said, and mind you, nobody knew. I hadn't posted about it. Like David knew and like 3 other people, right? I texted Bumblefoot and I'm like, how ironic is it that last week I was singing Sheer Heart Attack and now I had one? And he called me and I kind of told him what happened, but that was literally the first text I sent after it happened.
Dang. Well,
at least I had a sense of humor about it.
You threw it out into the universe, man. It latched on and spit it right back. That's 2020 for you.
It did, right? Fucking 2020, man. So
I can't complain too much about it. After 7 years of thinking that I was shooting blanks, we found out that I wasn't after all, and the wife is pregnant.
Wow!
Congratulations! Holy shit!
Wow!
Yeah,
that's a COVID baby. See, you just needed to be home for a while.
I know.
See, to get you home off tour.
Magical and
had
something cooking, and it happened. So May 25th, we're going to be expecting.
Nice. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Yeah,
that is very cool.
So we need to keep the bar open. We're having a baby. Yes. We need to make some money.
Yeah, open the bar. Hey, so real quick, you had a cover record as well that you and Mike Portnoy and Mark Mengi and
that was your cover record you just showed.
No, I know that's awesome.
Show me yours.
Show me yours. I'll show you mine.
Show your exactly.
Yeah. I don't have one available.
Oh come on!
The terrible preparation, Phil.
Yeah, right.
It's back there on the right there. You can see that. So you can see the poster. BPMD.
You guys covered some cool songs. In fact, I love your Toys in the Attic. That was a good one, man. Because Toys in the Attic, that's my Aerosmith record. To me, that's my Aerosmith. And of course, we're all kind of the same age. Or at least I know me and Portnoy are. Who else was on it? It was you, Portnoy, Mengi, and Blitz did it, right? Blitz sang all the
Yeah. Mengi. I mean, Portnoy. I think he was born 18 days after me, so I got him. So I think you were older.
Yeah, me and Blitz are about the same age. Yeah, okay. We're about the same age. Yeah.
Oh, you're hell old.
I'm that old. I'm reverse aging now, though.
That was a fun record. They got the classics already picked, so all of us each picked two songs. That was a Portnoy pick. He picked Wang Tang Sweet Boom Tang. I picked Van Halen, DOA. And this really dark, it was like the deepest cut of them all was a Blue Oyster Cult song called Tattoo Vampire off of Agents of Fortune. Yeah, so nobody really picked up on that. We got Buck Dharma to come in and play a solo on it. So it was a lot of fun, man. Yeah. I love playing covers, Dave.
I know you do. No, it's well, we've done a lot of that with Metal Allegiance, of course. And, so it's, I've been doing a lot of that with the collab jams that everybody's doing their quarantine jams, and I got to do a lot of that early on and start to in my studio here learn the Pro Tools rig that I've had here forever. Start recording a lot. Got a lot of riffs stashed away, just like everybody. So it's I mean, I think that is the thing. Is it's like if we choose to be productive, which I think a lot of us were. It took a while to kind of just get over the shell shock and that's kind of where our cover record came in. Like Tom was on the phone or just chatting with Charlie Benante, and it's kind of like, hey, let's strap up, man. Let's jam, let's plug in. Like we've got the songs, and we just kind of started asking friends to join in.
I know my phone was off the hook or something. I don't know what happened. I'm sure
you were definitely on the list.
You and me actually had already done something. You and me and Dave McClain and Brandon. How do you say his name? Chapati?
Yeah, Chapetti. I don't even think he's the artichoke cans. You got to say it with artichoke.
Hey, Chapetti. And so we did that song. That song really got some traction, man. That we when was that? What was that? That was January, right?
Are you talking about the Echoes of Reckoning song?
It was right before NAMM.
Yeah, it was right before NAMM. So look, we got our hit in for 2020 . So which was good. I mean, it was
that song. That was a rocking tune.
Hey, labels from Japan were saying, "Hey, when do we want to put it out?" I said, "Well, here's the bad news. We're long." And it's funny because Spotify put out that thing saying, "Hey, we need more content faster." And I know Portnoy and a lot of people were like, "Fuck Spotify," and blah blah blah. But the reality of it is, there's kind of, again, two mindsets. One, of course, we like to make LPs and, record full lengths and stuff. But, the reality of it is the pace that the world moves at, it's kind of, we know this, it's a singles world. And I think what we did, just the four of us getting together, virtually and banging a tune, like that had its merit as a, and again, I was getting ready to go on a Megadeth tour. You guys are getting ready to go do Metal Allegiance and everything else. So, you know, it's not like you want a full length dropping right in front of all this stuff anyway, but to just kind of bang a song out, you know, sometimes those things are fun to do. So, you know, they have their merit.
But for the record, Phil, you came up 100 times when we were making no cover. I was always like, yeah, maybe we'll get demo on this. Like it literally, but we just had so many fucking guitar players that ended up playing. It's like drummers and guitar players. There's so many that, but we kept trying to, we had to, but dude, trust me, your name came up 1,000, and we're going to do no cover 2 eventually. We're going to make you be on that. Don't worry.
Take up the trumpet or something, and we can definitely fit you in.
Well, we'll figure something else out, Dave. I'm sure we can figure somehow.
I'm sure we will. Sure we will.
You guys need to write some more echoes.
You're talking about singles, and you're talking about, you know, full length records and stuff. Violence is we've signed a deal with Metal Blade.
Nice.
I got together with the dudes, and we've got Bobby Gustafson from, you know, the Overkill, legendary guitar player, playing with us now. Christian Oldie Warbers from, you know, Fear Factory playing with us. So it's we're gonna do a 5-song EP, because I'm kind of with you in the sense, like, doing a whole record right now, you know, people's attention spans aren't that long. It's just like, let's do 5 tunes, 5 bangers, and grab some attention and grab some traction that way, and not lose everybody in the midst of, you know, a band like Violence. There's no subtleties. There's no dynamics, you know. We're a thrash band, man. So, you know, listening to, I remember when we were doing the Machine Head Evening Withs, you know, it's just like, not a lot of bands can do an evening with. Like, you can't really, Slayer's not going to do an evening with, you know, you're not going to do a Lamb of God evening with, because it's just bludgeoning for so long, you know. It's Violence will never play more than an hour, because even I get sick of it at that point.
No, I'm with you. Yeah, exactly. It's not a nuanced, dynamic sort of setting, you know. But, you know, it's true. I mean, look, let's face it. You know, these full length records, you know, God, I look back at the Megadeth records, we had 8 songs on it, and, you know, they were like clocking in at 32 minutes, you know, and then we started,
great, though. That's perfect.
And then it became 11 songs, largely because publishing contracts called for that. So you do 11, or maybe you record 12 or 13. So you got a B-side for Japan or whatever.
Or you do an intro and you call it a song.
Yeah, exactly. You cut it in. Yeah. Holy Wars and Punishment do.
Yes,
you know?
that's true.
Rust in Peace and Polaris, you know. So, but the reality of it is, you know, now, and I remember I call it the Roadrunner era, like the 2000s, you know, and Roadrunner, they'd put out these records, 15 songs. One of them was a single. The rest, just whatever. You'd probably play 3 or 4 of them live, and eventually back to only the one survives forever on the tour. And so you go through all this work and you do all this stuff. And as fans, of course, we like it, but the requirement of the effort to shut everything down, come off the road, write the songs, do the production, hire the producer, the amount of money that it took. Eventually, you didn't even recoup, and it just became a bad financial investment from the label. It was just too much outlay of cash, you know, to do it, you know, for what was being sold. So even labels now are kind of like, hey, let's get some famous guys and do singles, you know. And I think it's cool. I mean, it's got its merit. I mean, obviously bands like Violence, Megadeth, you know, whatever, you know, AC/DC, you know, we make full length records still, but I mean, look at how long it took to make an AC/DC record. I mean, years.
I love it.
Yeah. So I love that new AC/DC record. I think it's amazing. It's fucking awesome.
Phil back behind the kit, and it's, you know, it gives you that old lady's boner again. It's so good.
Dude, Phil Rudd. I mean, come on, man. It's
there's something magical about that, you know.
I tell you what, man, my 80s boner has never gone away, and it probably never will.
Hey, I saw a really good thing. There's a show on Netflix. I think it's on Netflix or Amazon. I forgot what it's called, but they're walking through the making of songs, and REM. Yeah. And I love REM. I'm a big fan of theirs. I like
the title's actually really dumb and forgettable, so it's not. I can't remember what it's called. It's a really dumb title. But Nine Inch Nails is on there.
Yeah, Nine Inch Nails. Yeah, and the REM one, Losing My Religion, and they sit down with the original 4 guys, because at one point the drummer Bill Berry had a brain aneurysm and had to step away from the band. but they go into all the detail. And these guys have not heard the master tracks probably since they recorded it, you know. So they're sitting there, Michael Stipe sitting there listening to his raw vocal, doubled vocal, you know. And it's funny to see, you know, even Michael, he's kind of embarrassed by his vocal. Like, you know, singers, I don't care who you are, you kind of don't always like the sound of your voice, you know. Like lots of people, we hear our voice back recorded, you're like, ooh, I don't like the sound of my voice. And even singers, maybe Thom, you're the same way. When you hear it back raw, I mean, no band, nothing, and you hear it just out there, you know, it's a very revealing moment, you know. But it was really a great. I love watching those, you know, because first of all, you realize we're all in the same band. We all have the same sort of egos and fragilities and the temperaments, and, you know, in their case, they're very much a collaborative band. They write together. They're all credited as the writers. It's and one of the few bands, like they said, hey, we just stopped playing but we're still friends. Go figure. I mean, that doesn't happen with most bands. You know, most bands, it's like an ex-wife or girlfriend or something. It's like, yeah, we don't talk. You know, screw her.
It's hard listening to stripped down, raw, soloed up tracks for sure. Yeah. Especially because that's your soul, you know, essentially. And so, you know, and maybe Thom notwithstanding, but their singers are a special breed in and amongst itself. So, you know, to have that bared out. Yeah. That's why I don't sing. Can't do it.
There's a certain, and you know, there is a certain sort of, I don't give a fuck. This is who I am, to stand up at the mic and sing. Out of all the people that I've been in bands with, to be able to, and I admire it because I don't have that. You know what I mean? I'm much more kind of, I don't know what the word would be, but maybe I'm a little more reserved from that. So I always admire, like, you know, Blitz or Thom, you know, or Dave or anybody that just goes up and just gets on the mic and just fucking belts it out and doesn't give a shit. You
Special breed.
Yeah, it is. It is a cool thing.
That little strand in my DNA that has that, you know.
Yeah. I think singers push into the mic, whereas others will kind of pull back from it. You know what I mean? There's.
Well, and I think part of it, you kind of got to be a little bit of an egotistical asshole too. There's a little bit of a self-serving. You know, me and David talk about this all the time. Like, to be a singer, you kind of got to, you know, have a little bit of that asshole DNA, you know?
Well, since the singer said that, we're going with that then. We agree with you, Thom. Yes.
Yeah, I know.
He said it.
Absolutely.
So that's awesome, man. Well, good. Well, so what's coming up in the new year then? So you got Violence. Are you doing a NAMM thing? Are you doing any NAMM related stuff or not?
I didn't. You know, I did a little something quick for EMG, just a little video thing. I don't even know what's happening. I'm trying to New Year. We're just waiting it out. You know, waiting for where we can open the bar back up because we're able to be outside. And we, you know, it was kind of cool when we were outside. I got some comedy nights going. I had some karaoke nights that were happening that were super fun. And when everything went down, you know, I stopped drinking in March and I said, all right, we're sheltered in place, not going to drink. And I'm a social drinker anyways, like once, maybe twice a month if I go out.
Yeah.
And
so now nothing at all. You don't drink at all.
No, not right. Well, I did when we reopened because you're at a bar and you're on a karaoke night. And I just think that, you know, I'm more be around.
Well, you're also, when you own the bar, and I've said this, like, I don't drink either, but when I ran bars, you drink because it's social, and you drinking makes other people around you drink. It's kind of part and parcel with owning the bar. It
helps kind of create that environment, and it does help in that sense. And I was having a good time too. But once we got shut down again, it's just like, all right, dry December. Let's see, you know. Not too long ago, I took about almost 3 years off from drinking too, and you know, it was healthy for me because I'm in decent shape, but my eating habits are pretty poor, and you know, I love soda, and you know, I'm super streaky, and like if I get in, you know, I run probably 3 or 4 times a week, you know, so I kind of balance it out. I do a ton of, you know, there's a mountain of dirt that I moved over the summer in my backyard, moved 97 cubic yards of dirt by hand and, you know, demolition hammer. So, you know, it's trying to find the focus and trying to find, you know, I found that the music and writing the music has helped in this sense. You know, we're raising a 4-year-old boy who might be crashing through the door any minute now.
Yeah.
So just following him around is enough. I started golfing again, been golfing like crazy.
I started golfing this year too. You know, it's funny, when everything was shutting down, Governor Ducey here in Arizona, he said, he goes, hey, you can still go outside and play golf, and barber shops are open because you don't want any sloppy looking golfers. So golf, you know. So I took up golf. My kids took up golf, which has really been fun. I've been out with my kids, you know, golfing and got them some clubs, and they love it. They dig it. And
excellent. And yeah, it's really, I find it to be kind of my, you know, if we're cooped up, it's just my meditation. I can just go out, and it just kind of a little bit of therapeutic, and and unless then I start fucking up a little bit, then it's just like, oh God.
But you know what though? It's funny. 18 holes is too much golf for me. 12 is perfect. And in fact, I get bored at 18. I'm like, oh, all right, enough. I've hit every shot I'm going to hit. I'm not going to get any better. It's like bowling. The first one's a disaster. The second one, I'm a rock star. And the third game, I just fall apart. So
retired.
Same with golf. I'm like, so we got a nice little 9-hole. There's an 18, and they also have a 9-hole executive. So I'll play the executive lot because it's easy to get on, and you can literally in about an hour and a half, you can bang all 9 holes, and I'm good. You know, I'd say, let's go grab a burger. We're good. Now we're
talking golf, banging all 9 holes in an hour and a half. You're still talking golf.
Exactly. Right? Still talking golf. Exactly. Yeah. Get your mind out of the gutter.
No, I love the golf has been great, and you know, it gets me out a couple times a week. And have a couple of different crews that I go out with. Like I'll go out with, I've been golfing a lot with Chuck Billy, and
how's Chuck doing? I know he's got another business. When we were doing the Metal Legion shows, when we were over in Vegas at the House of Blues, he was talking about he's got like another kind of business that he's doing with houses and stuff. So it looks like he's rocking that. Yeah, it looks like he's doing well with that.
He's such a driven dude, you know, and got a great work ethic, and he's flipping houses and buying up some real estate and trying to set up his family for the future, you know? So
which is a good time to do it. Hey, real estate is up. That's the good thing. While everything else may have been trashed from COVID, the real estate is up, and it's great here in Arizona. So I know.
Yeah, it is here in Dublin, California. That's what's keeping the bar open.
Yeah. Well, you know, the reality of it is let's face it, you know, with few exceptions, you know, music, you know, some things obviously pay. But for the most part, you know, music, you really have to be back for the, you know, kind of for free and for fun, for the labor of love that it is, you know, and if you can make a couple of bucks, great. But I think probably a lot of the people we've had on the streams have had careers, but, you know, in order to still keep playing, you really got to just do it for the love of doing it, you know? And,
and how crazy is it going to be when it opens up? How insane is the routing and the traffic going to be? And like, imagine everybody's going to try to getting out. Everybody's going to be releasing music. And it's so, I'm going to grab the popcorn and just kind of watch and see what happens.
Well, you know, and it's interesting because, you know, I think, you know, an agent that's you know, that I've worked with, that me and Tom worked with here in town, you know, he said, he goes, look, the days of the, you know, 6-week, 40-date U.S. tour, like that's not going to happen for a while, because you can't route and go, oh, we have to cut the complete East Coast off because, you know, or somehow something flares up and now we have to reroute. So it just isn't. So, I mean, Tom and I went out, we did a little trip down to Texas. We did 3 shows in Texas, Louisiana. We went up to the Midwest. We banged 5 shows up there. And, you know, that's kind of what it is. It's sort of dip in, dip out. You kind of grab these little pockets where you can go play. And, you know, for now, that's what it is. But you're right. Once it opens up, and like, hopefully, you know, things will be up and running, and, you know, we'll be rocking. It is going to be great. It's going to be amazing. The festival mentality is just going to be fantastic when it finally comes back, you know.
For sure. So, excited for that.
It is. Yeah.
Big tour packages too.
Well, listen, I'm going to go watch Cobra Kai because I got to get into season 3.
That's what I'm going to do.
Right?
So,
me and Neil already watched it. So
got nothing.
So good.
But I'm watching Fargo, so I don't know if you guys have watched any of
it. Fargo's great.
No, I haven't seen that.
Brilliant series. This last one with Chris Rock in it is amazing. So I got one more episode of that. Then I'm doing Cobra Kai. Thank you guys for, you know, let me sit in and hang with you guys.
Of course.
Great seeing you, Neil. Can't wait to hang again, Dave.
Yeah, dude, it's been a while.
Yep, awesome.
Love you, brother.
Cool. Happy New Year 2021. Let's rock it.
Happy New Year, guys.
See ya.
Can't wait to see you all in person.
Yeah, well, right. Neil, we're definitely going to have you back. So We were going to talk about this. So me and David are actually launching a new version of this show in the next couple of weeks. We got a new production team we're working with, and we're doing a little fancier version. So I definitely want to have you come back on and talk more about some of the stuff you've done. And thanks so much for joining us.
No, I really appreciate you guys.
Hopefully it won't go from Wayne's World to being too corporate, so we lose our edge. You know?
Yeah, it's going to be sponsored by Noah's Arcade.
Oh, sounds good. No, it was great talking to you guys, and great seeing you for the new year too. So we'll be seeing you again. So looking forward to it. So
thank you.
You guys enjoy Cobra Kai. I got one last episode to finish, so it'll be
enjoy it. Nice. It's a good one, but it's going to piss you off. All right,
thanks
guys.
Everybody for joining us. Happy New Year around the world for everybody who stopped in. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys. David, talk to you later.
See you, Dom. Bye.
You ever seen that scene in Scanners where the dude's head explodes?